Cruz Pedregon and Tim Wilkerson. Matchup between number 1 and 2 in the points from 2008.
Oh, red light for Cruz.
Wow. Yeah. And a big one. Oh. Now Tim Wilkerson gets to run back and make sure his son Daniel is all set to go. He's already notched a win on the mistake made on the line by Cruz Pedregon.
Yeah, that's a big surprise there. Cruz just basically he was he was red by about 300ths of a second, so that was a definitely a mental error there. You see him get the jump off the starting line, but it was all for naught because it was basically giving Tim Wilkerson the win right there.
Second time this year for Cruz, and they've been testing a possible change in the motor, the whole power system on these cars. In fact, Dan Wilkerson drove the test car, and this is what they're talking about, Mike.
Well, and this is the initial test for the NHRA. They are testing about the possibility of going back to quarter mile. If you look at just a smaller engine with less fuel, less air, and a lower gear ratio to try to slow the cars down. Want to reiterate, this is just the initial test. There will be some other tests with some different setups.
Dave Reef is with young Dan Wilkerson.
Back after watching his father take that first round win, your first step on the loud pedal here in eliminations. What's going on in your mind right now?
I'm just trying to do my normal deal, the same old, same old. Just go on when it comes yellow and drive it to the end, keep it in the middle, shut it off on time.
We know these Ford Mustangs can be temperamental. Your dad's been fighting it, your Ford's team has been fighting it with the 3-rail car versus a 2-rail car. This is your dad's car from last year. Is it a 2-rail car?
This is a 2-rail car. This car won more rounds than anybody else last year, so I definitely got a good hot rod. Just going to go up there, poke it, and see what happens.
You nervous at all?
No, I am nervous. There's no pressure. It's only one race deal, so I'm just out here having fun.
It's going to be exciting. Remember, this kid did win the Castrol Night of Fire in Norwalk last year, so he does know how to find his way to the finish line.
That guy.
Tim Wilkerson in his first start back at Gainesville in '96 qualified 15th. Daniel, his first start here at Topeka, number 8. 7 spots better than his dad. Of course, his dad did lose first round at that event to Richard Hartman. Hopefully, Daniel will have better success.
And it's great to see the next generation in the family come along like that.
With Tim Wilkerson's son Dan making his professional debut today, we're curious, were you more nervous about your run or more nervous about what he's facing upcoming?
No, I tell you, the deal with Dan is it's just an exercise right now. We're just getting his feet wet. We got a good car. That was last year's car. You can see it runs good here. That car could probably win the race, but we're just here teaching the crew how to work on the car, getting me a little handle on it. It's got a little different fuel system on it than mine, so we're going to have a good time today. I'm not probably going to have him run at full track. I'm just going to have him shut it off down there about half track because it had some problems yesterday that we need to make sure is fixed, because I'm going to leave with all my junk in a pile here. I don't want any molten stuff. I don't want my car on fire. I don't want my kid on fire. So we're trying to learn what we can learn. And for Levi Ranch Shop, very nice to Dick Levi. Thank you, Dick, for letting Dan run that car this weekend, because we called and got permission from him, and he was nice enough to let us do it. And it's been a good learning experience. You can see he's a good boy. He's going to make a good driver for somebody. Hopefully it's me someday. Thanks.
Very prudent approach from family Wilkerson.
Well, when we come back, it's more funny car. Bob Tasca will face Dan Wilkerson, making his pro debut. 2 Ford cars, part of the Team Alliance. They go down the track side by side. Here comes a fun matchup. Bob Tasca and young Daniel Wilkerson. Let's go to the top end, Gary.
Caps, who was talking about his ride, excuse me, Ron, had a cylinder go out.
Gary?
Maybe. Cylinder out on the hit. Basically, how tough was it to handle that car?
I had no more steering wheel. It went out the hit, and one thing you learn in these funny cars is when it puts the cylinder out, it now, years ago it didn't, but now it vibrates the windows, and that's kind of when you know, besides the fact that it was taking me to the wall. And I had as much steering wheel to the right as I could at the hit of the throttle, and it's shaking and rattling. It's Sunday, and you know it's going to blow up, so you're hanging on, and if it went any more towards the left, I was out of steering wheel. I was going to go into the wall until I lifted. And so, you know, we're racing Matt, and I hate to win that way, but it's our teammate and all. But we know Forrest ran that 23 up in front of us, and they got my blood pressure up a little bit in the staging lanes, knowing we had to try and get lane choice, but hopefully it won't matter.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Young Dan Wilkerson, his dad Tim works on the car. Looking for a little more funding if they want to run it again. Right now it's a...
We had to try and get lane choice, but hopefully it won't matter.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Young Dan Wilkerson, his dad Tim works on the car. looking for a little more funding if they want to run it again. Right now, it's a one-time deal.
They're using this as a test session. You heard Tim say that basically he just told Daniel, let's just go to half track. In the old days, sometimes a guy would tell you that just to kind of throw you, kind of psych you out a little bit. But I think they are just basically just doing some testing with this race car to see where it's at, because they don't have anything to prove. The cars look very good this weekend so far.
Exactly what you predicted there. In fact, waited a little bit more until he actually launched. Tasca was the one going down the track, part of the alliance with the Wilkerson family, on its way to being a team effort. And Tasca runs a 4:23 with a 4. He will now face Ashley Force.
Yeah, Daniel, I'm sure, just said, okay, let's just let him go, and we're going to use this as a test session. Now watch the car. He goes to half track, but that thing drove right out of the group past the 330, got awfully close to the center line. So we'll have to go back and look at the data. Obviously not what they were looking for, but they can take and figure out what changes they made and possibly what caused that.
You've got to say something about his discipline, because, there are kids who would have gone out there and said, no, I'm going to show off. He did what he was told to do.